Good morning and good evening, Hexacomians. We're coming at you live from Hexacomb Times news station. I'm Pix, and over the last few days, I've been sitting down with the mayoral candidates from across the city to hear their plans for if and when they become mayor. We're kicking things off with the Chagas party. I headed to Toasted Towers to meet with Toast and Titan, where we talked about their campaign, their critics, and their vision for Las Chagas and beyond. I appreciate you sitting down with me, Toast. And Titan, of course. You're running to be the next mayor of Hexacomb, but you've got ties to Las Chagas. It's an interesting combo. Let's dive into what motivates you. So, what inspired your decision to run for mayor of Hexacomb? Was there a moment that made you think, yeah, I need to step up?
Yeah, actually. So I've been in Hexacomb for the past few years now. I believe since 2021. Might be wrong. But, I've been around. I've been somewhat active most of the seasons.
Hmm.
And yeah, I've always loved the community. It's always been a great place for me. And for the longest time, for anybody who's been around Hexacomb, I've been wanting to, get into the scene with, the admins and the helpers and all them. And now I feel like I got a good chance to do what I want to do for the Hexagon people.
Hmm. But you,
Oh,
Titan,
as
joining
far as
in.
I go, yeah, no, it's very fun getting a chance to run with Toast here. It's a absolute delight getting to, inspire a lot of ideas as far as what we want to do with
Hmm.
the community. Toast and I were actually talking, and I think, actually ran on the same ticket back in season one.
Oh.
And that went really well. And having a chance to, actually be involved in how the community kind of moves forward this time around, is really what kind of drew me to the ticket here.
Every party's got their kind of pitch, their vibe. What do you think really sets your party apart from the others in this race?
I think what sets us apart is first off, we got our world expansion. A
Hmm.
lot of people they want to just, do a one and done thing, right? But what we want to do for that is a slow expansion.
Hmm.
That's just one thing different that we could do. We got plenty of ideas. Sleep percentage, that's obviously going to be different from everybody else's.
I think really
Right.
like our biggest pitch here is the like we don't really want to make selfish choices. We understand that there's a really nice uh, community around us,
Hmm.
that we are always adamant is, involved, that everybody is kind of represented. And so a lot of the things that we have, we didn't even really have a decisive thing on.
Hmm.
We just decided that we would leave them up to community votes. The world expansion is one of those things where the idea of it is basically once a week, the world border will expand. By how much is going to be dictated by a community vote. So once a week, whoever's on is basically going to get a chance to explore, an extra couple hundred blocks, maybe like 1,000 at most, I would say.
Hmm.
Um, just as far as getting the community more involved and having more people have more of a chance to explore that area before, just a couple people.
So Hexacomb's got kind of a mix of players with different goals. A lot of them, especially recently, have been very much adventurers and trying to get ahead of other people, which sometimes causes clashes. So, how do you plan to handle disagreements or when people's interests don't line up with your own?
I would really say that we're not going to we don't really want to police
Mhm.
the community. We want to give them the opportunity to not only make their own adventures, but also to suffer their own consequences.
Mhm.
So I one of the things on our list is we want to, and this is actually in the book for our initial platform. We want a return of the Spawn Development Council, or the SDC, from
Mm.
season one, which I actually did a lot of the foundation work for way back when. So it's very exciting to kind of reinvigorate that idea.
Mhm.
And one of
Can
the
you
biggest things
explain what
about,
a DSDC is for people
yeah,
who don't know?
so basically the Spawn Development Council is more of like a voluntary building initiative
Mhm,
where we want Spawn to look good and be fleshed out with, roads and buildings and foliage and stuff like that.
mhm,
And so it really encourages people to sign up based on their prowess, basically. So if you're like really good, like you're willing to grab a couple pickaxes, grab a couple shovels, and just go to town terraforming,
mhm.
we need that. If you're all for, chopping down trees until your, hand gets tired, that's fine. Uh, if you're willing to do, interiors or foliage around builds, there's kind of a spot for everybody to
Mhm,
have a say in how Spawn looks. And like I said, it's completely voluntary. There's no real like expectations to it.
mhm,
Um, but it does really help fast track a lot of community building. And that's where it kind of ties back around so that we can have, a couple people working on a courthouse, maybe like a little jail or something.
mhm.
And then, civil disputes can be solved civilly. Maybe like a fighting pit in the future if we want to do it otherwise. But I think yeah, that's kind of what the SDC is all about.
That'd be interesting to see. That ties perfectly into my next question. Keeping a server like this alive and buzzing isn't easy. What is your long-term plan to keep Hexacomb fun, alive, worth logging in for, stuff like that?
What we want to do to help the community keep it alive is events, for example. We want to have community events,
Hmm.
little fun games every now and then. Obviously, with the world expansion, there's that too, more exploring. And there is one thing with the world expansion we do want to put up to a vote, for the people,
Hmm.
and that is adding most structures.
Oh.
You know, meanwhile, yes, you will have the opportunity to explore more of the world. You will also have the opportunity to explore more structures around the world, auto-generated structures, and I feel like that could bring some life to the server.
Hmm.
But hey,
Yeah, just
that's up to you,
overall as far
Hexacomians.
as, yeah, definitely. And I think like, we've got a lot of data pack ideas that we definitely want community input on. But we also just think are going to be very uh, well received
Hmm.
quality of life updates.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are on a lot of the other platforms, but what I think kind of separates me and Toast is we've really thought in a multifaceted manner, I would
Hmm.
say, about which different types of players are going to benefit from some of these.
Hmm.
And, basically trying to make our picks more, generic without being uninteresting.
So, would you say that kind of helps you decide which kind of updates the community wants the most?
I would say it kind of does. So like a big one is leaf decay.
Hmm.
So one of the first packs that we initially picked was, gotta have fast leaf decay on there.
Hmm.
Just because it's a really big quality of life improvement, and I feel like we've all waited long enough for tree leaf to despawn at this point.
Yes, we had a lot of.
Um, a mainstay of Hexacomb, we're definitely bringing mob and player heads back.
Hmm.
Um, can't really nail down like a percentage drop yet, just because we haven't been elected.
Hmm.
But definitely gonna, kind of look at that just so that we can then, make sure that it's a more positive impact on the community.
Are these changes mostly technical, like plugins, data packs, or like gameplay tweaks, or do you have others?
We've got a couple that are mostly like idea based,
Hmm.
outside of the data packs. So one of the ones that we actually really want to get started on first is going to be initiating a shopping district at Spawn.
Oh.
And that'll really help pave the way for a lot of expansion early on of Spawn that
Hmm.
will just kind of help flesh out the area better. And then there's also going to be kind of in conjunction with the SDC,
Hmm.
even though the SDC is a voluntary service, we do want to kind of incentivize people to come and work on projects that maybe we would like to see done, but there's not as much interest for.
Mm-hmm.
So a workers union
Oh.
is kind of in the works for community projects where basically, we will pay you to build different structures and do different projects just based on community needs.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be anything as far as like, laying down roads or gathering materials for builds,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Is there anything else that you'd like to mention that we've not gone over?
Yes, actually,
Uh,
I do have one
yeah.
thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that is as well as a shopping district at Spawn.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have some more like special items based on location of where majority, big groups of players are.
Okay.
Like to have special items strictly for those areas to encourage more exploration. So that way you're not only sitting at, your base,
Mm-hmm.
for example.
The one thing that we didn't mention either, and this is kind of like a big topic at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
we want to reduce the sleep percentage
Ah,
uh,
yes.
once in office as well. We don't want it to be too low so that it's like one player's sleep, because again, we're trying to encourage more like community togetherness
Mm-hmm.
throughout all this. So we agreed that about 30% is a good number. With an average of about like 20 players online, that means about, 7 people sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really hard to, convince the people that you're, rooming with, or the people that you're building with,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a couple other people to get, in. But it still does encourage that initial conversation.
There was this plugin that was added a couple seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ran it recently, but basically, somebody is AFK would just completely, I mean, they'd still be able to AFK,
Mm-hmm.
do all their AFK farming and stuff, but it did not count them towards the sleep percentage.
Ah,
It's like they're
okay.
there, but they're not there. I don't know the name of it,
But you'll
but
you'll look into it to try add it.
yes, we will look into that. And we'll
Okay.
get that going, if possible.
I know that would be helpful to quite a lot of people,
Oh yeah.
especially to
Yeah,
people
definitely.
who hate the phantoms that have been going around.
Trust me, we are not fans of the Phantoms either. I would like very much so to go out at night and at least not have the Phantom spawning, because we were able to sleep in the last 3 days.
That is all of the questions that I had. Thank you so much for letting me interview you guys and hear your thoughts on your policies.
Thank you as well, Bob. It's much appreciated.
Not a
Thank you so
problem.
much,
Appreciate your
Sam. I
time.
appreciate it.
No problem. Back to you, Vic. Next up, I headed over to a familiar local spot, the pizza shop, where I sat down with Ben and Newt of the Grottolini party. In a relaxed setting over a slice, we got right into the heart of their vision for Hexacomb and their bold ideas to shake up the status quo. Awesome.
Got it.
Right, so Grottolini, thank you for joining me. I did say that right, didn't I? Grottolini?
Yep, all good.
Yeah, that's right. And thank you
Amazing.
for inviting us.
Thank you. So you're not coming from Las Vegas like some other candidates, which already sets you apart in a way. So let's talk about your path and what you are bringing to Hexacomb. You're stepping into a city with its own dynamic history. What inspired you to throw your name into the ring for Hexacomb's mayor?
So, Grottolini is big tradition for us, as we are all Italian,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's made pretty clear with all our shops and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have decided to run for mayorship because we have a lot of ideas for Hexacomb as a whole, not just for Grottolini.
Mm-hmm.
And as we want to also expand our little place, we also want to make sure that there's order everywhere on Hexacomb,
Mm-hmm.
and it has how could you say it? Great, a great progress. How could you say
Yeah,
it?
just keep things in check, you know.
Yeah.
Apart from your extremely snazzy suits, what would you say makes your party stand out from the others in this race?
I think what makes us stand out is um, I I don't really want to bring the other competitors down, but
Mhm.
the like seriousness we take over the mayorship. Uh, I think everything should be.
Apart from those snazzy suits, what do you think really makes your party stand out in this race?
I don't really want to bring the other competitors down,
Mhm.
but the thing I've noticed is that in the mayoral booth, we can see that some of the books have less writing than others,
Mhm.
and I believe it's really important to give the community or the people of Hexacomb a good insight of what we want to do.
Mhm.
So we decided to do that by not only doing a strong decoration of our booth, but formatted our books to make them as clear as possible by highlighting some words, um, doing multiple pages, and overall just trying to keep things organized. I saw that another competitor also has done it, and I think that's a really good thing.
Mhm.
I think this is gonna be good for them too, and I'm really glad other people are taking this more seriously.
Mhm.
I believe everybody should have books with a lot of information. The
Mhm.
interview is great for also going over the little points we might have missed or going in more details, but
Mhm.
we should have something clear right off the bat, in my opinion.
Even in this race, um, there's still like a lot of influence that other competitors and everybody can do.
Mhm.
And how can I say this in a non-Italian way? My Italian words like to get in the way, know how it is. I believe that even in tough races like these, everybody has some sort of power to influence one another. As Ben over here said, that one of our competitors, not trying to be judgmental, by the way,
Mhm.
has taken a swift approach to how we did as before. And I won't lie, it's very nice seeing as others change for a more professional touch to it.
Mhm.
Seeing as before this race was just a simple step, now it is just taking a more different approach, as I can see from one of our competitors has done the same thing as we did.
Mhm.
As I said, not trying to be judgmental, please.
Mhm.
Just I just feel really nice that you know an influence like this can change to make a better, yeah, just a better approach. Sorry if I'm repeating the same words again. It just
No,
ain't
it's
much for me
fine.
to say.
So you're glad to see that other people are taking this as seriously as you guys.
Yes, the
Yeah,
change that even us, just the small little things of the change that we did to make others change too, is just nice. We
Mhm.
want to see change, not
Already
be,
leading the people.
yes, we just want to see a better tomorrow.
Mhm. And that's great for mayor candidates as well. So, as we've seen throughout the seasons, Hexacomb is a complex place. Different groups, goals, ambitions, all kind of clashing at times. How would you handle conflicts when interests collide?
I personally don't think I've been in many conflicts in Hexacom,
Mm-hmm.
but I've seen some conflicts happen before. I believe that we should like search the core of the problem,
Mm-hmm.
asking as many questions as possible if there is a lot of gray areas,
Mm-hmm.
and find a solution that both parties would agree with to avoid any further conflicts in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the conflict is made by somebody not respecting the rules or
Mm-hmm.
some new policy that would be in place, for example, obviously uh, it would bring a question of whether our policies are great for the people or whether the people are just abusing and what punishment they should have.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives us a lot of self reflect and we should change for the better.
I believe that reason and order is the two most important things in Hexacom specifically,
Mm-hmm.
because conflict should never be the first answer to a conflict, and violence should never be the first thing to come up in a person's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And by putting order things first and reason in to follow,
Mm-hmm.
we should be able to do, resolve with the competitor who's maybe acting in a certain different way against others. for we value others people's safety and concern if they report it to us, basically. We worry about a lot of things when it comes to aggression or theft or anything that could compromise.
Mhm.
So, in short term, reason and order is is the two things we will follow to the very end.
Now, I want to go over some of the things that you put in your book, starting with thriving spawn. What would
Oh
you
yeah.
say a thriving spawn looks like to you?
So I believe that spawn should have areas, as I've written in my books,
Mm-hmm.
and a thriving spawn would be an organized spawn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know this might seem intimidating for some people that don't really want to fit with a certain style,
Mm-hmm.
but that's okay because I've thought of it. What I want is a spawn with different areas. So I think we should maybe map around the spawn and
Mm-hmm.
just delimit where the area should be at. For example, one area would be a garden, one area would be fantasy liked, another
Ooh.
maybe a more like industrial looking, be more rural, a bit
Mm-hmm.
like Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
While to keep the creativity of the player in check, because it's important, we can always have some what I would call freestyle area where people are not limited to how it should look, but they can build however they'd like.
Mm-hmm.
All I'd be requiring is I do not want a chest and a sign that's just a shop.
Mm-hmm.
That way we can have a spawn that would look amazing, as well as a few touches of ours, because as running for mayor, if we of course are, I think it's important that we also organize, for example, some of the roads. We have some people working for us, so we maybe hire people to work on the roads with us.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also decorate stuff, plants, lampposts, making sure the area is safe for people to roam around. We don't want those nasty creepers blowing up everything. I think it's really important that have an organized fund with multiple areas that people know where to build stuff and people can have like some sort of fever dream. You're walking the area and everything is so organized. Everything looks great.
So, how do you plan to encourage activity in that area and kind of discourage, how you said, people just placing down a chest and a sign and saying that's a shop?
So we're gonna have some standard rules for building
Mm-hmm.
and all that stuff. First is we want at least a building
Mm-hmm.
or at least a tiny bit of decoration. If it's just a building and a roof, then that's fine. It's a building. We just don't want like a square of planks, like the basic Minecraft base you'd see the first on your first playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
However, if it has a roof, it's already decorated, so it's up to go. But I think putting things on the road without decoration is just gonna be a no-go for us.
Mm-hmm.
We want a tiny bit of effort. That way, everything will look nice. If some player are lacking maybe the creativity to do that, we're willing to help. We are willing to offer our help to the person
Mm-hmm.
to help them have something that they're satisfied on. Maybe somebody wants to do a stand and they are not managing to achieve that. We could maybe add our plus value
Mm-hmm.
because we have been building for a few seasons now,
Mm-hmm.
and we wouldn't mind helping people reach what they want to achieve.
So I just want to go over something else that you put in. Um, the the kind of small tweaks that you're planning to put in. Can you kind of
Mhm.
explain the reasoning behind no phantoms and the lower sleep percentage in your view?
So people at night have been roaming around.
Mm-hmm.
People want sometimes to be on daytime to take better pictures. People want the thunder to be gone to avoid mob spawning because maybe they don't have a safe area. Maybe they don't have torches.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to lower the percentage so that more people can agree on sleeping. Because there's always some people that, let's just say, are sleepwalking. They're not quite active,
Yeah.
and they're letting their little farms run around during the night and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And those people, unfortunately, takes a slot, so it will make sleeping harder. By lowering the percentage, not only we can fight that little negative point, I would say.
Mhm.
But we will also make it easier for anybody that wants to sleep to just agree upon sleeping, because you will not be able to do it solo,
Mhm.
but you will still need a few people to do that. We can just all agree on doing it. We're not going to reduce it to 1%. One player is just not going to cut it for us.
Mhm.
But we're definitely going to lower it from what it is right now. Now, for the Phantoms, I've been thinking about it, because Phantoms, they drop Phantom membranes.
Mhm.
And some people love slow falling. I've seen somebody at one point with a Riptide during a rain
Oh.
fly with slow falling and the Riptide enchantment. It was really impressive. I've never seen anyone do this before. I know it sounds basic enough. I've seen people with Elytras and slow falling, but I actually didn't see Riptide and slow falling somehow.
Mhm.
So that was really cool to see, and actually a really decent strategy, I would say. So obviously I don't want to unallow people to reach those slow falling potions or maybe repair future Elytras. So by removing Phantoms, I will find a data pack or find anything that will add craftable Phantom membranes. And if I cannot find anything, there's probably some things online, and I'm willing to code my own data pack to just add a crafting recipe.
That's amazing. So you're willing to go the full distance to make sure that this happens.
I do not want to remove Phantoms
Mhm.
by removing Phantom membranes. I think it should still be obtainable, and we
Mhm.
should not cut our community with an item.
Oh. So would you be open to adjusting these settings based on player feedback?
Based on player feedback, if they want to change the like, we can do voting, we can have community votes.
Mhm.
If they want to make sure that the Phantom membranes have a specific craft, we're open to suggestion, because as we know that we can do custom crafting with data packs, we actually are still trying to figure out how we would craft Phantom membranes. We know Phantoms are not that hard to gather, but I
Mhm.
know they're not that easy to have in mass. So obviously we don't want a super simple craft, but we don't want a super hard one.
Mhm. Is there any other small tweaks that you might introduce?
I have been looking at data packs. Obviously, we all know about vanilla tweaks.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, they're not updated. I do want to say that as soon as it gets updated, we're
Mhm.
definitely gonna implement them, especially the player head,
Mhm.
mob heads,
Armor
the
stands.
Enderman Grief. That, I think
Mhm.
a lot of people can agree that Enderman picking up the grass block and placing them anywhere in your base
Yeah.
is a bit annoying. Creeper explosions
Mhm.
could be removed, but I purposely do not want to, because I think creepers have that fear in them, and I feel like it would cut that fear off the game.
Mhm.
We believe that creepers are fine as they are, and if
Yeah.
they blow up, at least you can well, at least you can control that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Endermen are a bit less controllable.
Mhm.
I do have another data pack that I want to talk about. I know it's taking a bit of time,
Mhm.
but I really want to talk about this one. I've seen a data pack that allows for wood cutting on the stone cutter.
Oh.
So you would be able to instantly transform planks into stairs, allowing you to save resources. I believe it still feels a bit vanilla friendly, in my opinion,
Mhm.
and it's not going to break the whole economy of wood, because you still cannot transform the stairs back in planks. You will
Mhm.
only be able to do one way.
Seems perfect. There's just one more thing that I wanted to talk about that was written in your book.
Mm-hmm.
Something about NPCs.
Just kidding.
Would you like to
Well,
explain that for me?
oh no, no problem. I
It's your honor
believe
then.
I believe we all need a bit of population in our town.
Okay.
We all know about it. It's something that has been talked a lot in Hexacom recently. I'm not
Mhm.
gonna say who started it.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to go over? What about the hosting of festivals and events?
I'm
Oh
very
yeah.
glad you reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, festival and events. First of all, I do not know if people will agree with me, but I consider maybe minigame as events in a way.
Oh.
Now, events, of course, could be it's my perspective on it. I know it has its own definition, but I have like some sort of a let's how do we call it a wider definition for me.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I like mini games because they can bring people together.
Yeah.
We could do an actual event where we bring multiple people together with cash prize maybe and stuff like
Ooh.
this. I will. I personally think it would be really good if people built minigame for Hexacomb. I really encourage that. Please, if people that are seeing this do build, even if I'm not mayor, even if I'm not elected,
Yes.
go ahead, go for it. It's really good. But
Mhm.
going back to the event talk, that's something I've been wanting to do for a while on Hexacom.
Mm-hmm.
I've remembered talking about it in, I believe it was season 3. I'm not entirely sure, but I'd say season 3. I've talked about a karaoke stand.
Ooh.
This, of course, is just an idea for an event,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it would bring people together, having maybe somebody play the instrumental of the music on the back while having a lectern with all the lyrics of a song, having people fight, and whoever wins or loses or whoever wants to go up there has to sing. Could be just fun. I think events that bring people together are important as we are a community. We're not playing single player. And having people interact with one another in fun and playful ways, it's just nice.
Well, I think that's the end to a great interview. So thank you so much for having me and letting me interview you guys.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
It was
Thanks a
nice.
lot for interviewing us. It's an honor.
I wish you guys the best of luck on the election, which will be soon.
I wish every other mayor the best of luck and to anyone a happy voting. Once again, thanks a lot for thanks a lot for interviewing us,
Mm-hmm.
and I do hope you have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks a lot.
Back to the office. And finally, I was joined right here in the studio by Jordan Zero of the Jort Gang Party. We talked campaign promises, the challenges of being newcomers in a race full of veteran candidates, and what sets Jort Gang apart in this year's elections. Jort Gang, can I call you that collectively, since you are the Jort Gang
Yeah,
Party?
Yes, you can.
of course, yeah.
I
That's basically
appreciate.
us.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Since you're new to the scene, it kind of makes your run for mayor quite a bold move. So let's kind of talk about that. Coming in as kind of new players, running for mayor is kind of a big first step. What made you decide that this was the right time to get involved?
Well, mostly we thought it would mostly be fun because we want to help like everyone have like a fun like moment in like the server and stuff. Because we've been in multiple servers where people have enjoyed a lot of mini games and things like that, and we want to bring that here from our own experiences.
Mhm.
And we just thought, if we're new, so what? We can bring what we know.
Mhm.
Yeah, basically the same thing. Like, I just want to try to my hardest to make the server as fun as possible for everyone.
Mhm.
At least, the best of my abilities.
Mhm. Now, you're entering a race filled with kind of veterans of the server, known figures. What makes your party kind of stand out in a way that people should take seriously?
We're fully for everyone, and we really enjoy helping people out as well.
Mhm.
And we can give a lot of stuff to people. We can make a lot of farms and do as much as we can
Mhm.
on the server.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of people that are fully geared. So, if anyone wants to
Mhm.
start breaking rules, we have force.
You got
We
an
have maces.
enforcement gang.
Yeah, we do.
Being new kind of means you'll be stepping into dynamics that you didn't exactly help to create. If you've seen that already, a lot of people have already made groups. How do you plan to handle conflicts or disagreements when things kind of get messy?
When it comes to like player versus player stuff, like wars between different like groups,
Mhm.
usually we'll probably just let them dish it out themselves, just because we would probably like I feel like war between two people would add some interest to the game. But
Mhm.
if it comes to like rule breaking and stuff like that,
Mhm.
then that will definitely be handled by the enforcement team that we have. But we also have like I'll let Dark here or Jort talk about the everything to do with like data packs and like arguments having to do with that.
Mhm.
Anything to do with the data packs and the game rules, we would
Mhm.
leave those to votes.
Mhm.
If enough people were to disagree, then we try to find a way around it, whether it
Mhm.
be tweaking the data pack, or if we can't find a way that everyone likes for that, then
Mhm.
we could just scrap it completely. But we want to make it like, if it's a data pack change or a game rule change,
Mhm.
we want everyone to agree with it, or at least most people.
Mhm.
If it's like 30% of people don't agree, then we won't go through with it.
So, how exactly are you thinking of making this vote? Since player wise, not everyone's always going to be on in that time frame that you're putting on these votes, if you get what I mean.
Your luck.
Pure luck.
That's my plan.
Pure luck.
But
Yes.
we plan to also do like the Discord polls basically, so it's easier
Mhm.
and stuff like that.
Are you thinking of doing maybe both, depending on what you're putting the vote for?
Yeah, the only problem that I've noted that I would like be wary of
Mhm.
is like a player secretly inserting like two votes. We would have to work on something around that, but we could definitely get that done.
I'm sure
Yeah,
staff can help you with that as well to kind of
exactly. Yeah.
ledger who's voting. I've seen that you've been doing more stuff on the Nether Highway already before you've been elected as mayor. What kind of other plans for building and kind of maintaining that Nether Highway with more portals popping up?
I want to just kind of basically do all of it, not completely myself, but I would try to make it to where it all looks similar, and
Mhm.
maybe have a style like if it's branching off to someone else's path, like kind of change the blocks up and to match what their base is.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
generally, it would be similar.
That sounds great. What do you think about like player specific portals, like decorating their area?
Like you said, we would basically just like do some sort of like radiant effect, so that way it's like a merging of two worlds, where it like as you're going through the highway, it slowly transitions into what their world would be. So like for example, if somebody made their entire area based on like lush caves, then we would use blocks from a lush cave. Or like for us, we live in a skulk biome, so that we would use skulk that led into our base.
I would love to see that, honestly. Now, in your original book, there was something about recovering items for players. What exactly do you mean by that?
So like say someone were to just die in any way, or
Mhm.
like lava or anything, lose all their stuff,
Mhm.
whether it despawned anything. We could just help them with through villager trades, getting diamond armor and food or whatever.
Mhm.
Just help them get their stuff back. Or if it'd be like a mace or something, try our hardest to give them the stuff to get that back, or help them do it
Mhm.
manually.
So, would those cost a payment or completely free? Because surely it would cost you guys some materials.
Well, we have a lot of people, so we could
Mhm.
all kind of do the materials together, but
Mhm.
generally it would be free for anyone unless they just like lose stuff like a lot.
Mhm.
If it gets to a point where it's absurd, like
Like a
then we're
full
not gonna be able to do
inventory of
that for
things.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they die like 20 times, like
Mhm.
we're not gonna keep supplying them, but we will try our hardest.
Yeah, yeah. What
Yeah.
about Spawn? I remember you guys having some big ideas on what you want Spawn to be like.
So I want it to be like kind of just no theme
Mhm.
because it limits creativity more.
Yeah, yeah.
And if people don't have those limitations, then I think it would just be better for everyone. But we wouldn't just let people have like, just the most random dirt hut just as a shop or something. It
Mhm.
would have to like at least look good,
Yeah,
stuff like that. But
having standards for the type of build.
yeah,
Hmm.
but I don't like the idea of having a theme. Just, I mean, it can be fun for like
Mhm.
a seasonal thing, but just a theme for a full month. I don't know. I don't like the idea of having to redo that theme, especially afterwards.
Game.
Yeah.
We want to see what people can create when they're given full liberty.
How would you exactly enforce kind of shops that don't exactly meet those standards? So like if someone kind of new kind of wants to sell their stuff, just places down a chest and a sign and tries to like let people know, what exactly would you do about that?
We could go about it in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, say they have just like a chest, like you said, and a sign.
Mm-hmm.
We could just let them know, hey, this isn't, it doesn't meet our standards. Can you either change it? If they don't change it after like a few days, then we could take it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Leave
would
it.
you be willing to help them set up that shop?
Yeah.
If
I'm personally building. I'm going to be building a shop myself
Mhm.
called the Builders Emporium, which will have a system for people to request certain builds at spawn
Mhm.
if they don't know what they want to build. So I will be providing that service.
That I know a few people who might want to use that. That sounds great. Is there any other policies that you want to mention just for our audience?
I would like to make it known that we do plan to add things like a mini game district. We plan to
Oh.
add fun events at least once a week, so
Mhm.
that way everyone can have something to do.
Oh, I'd love that. Are you thinking about doing like single player games? Because I know quite a few people like aren't
Yeah,
on as much with other people and would like to kind of play games by themselves. It might sound lonely,
yeah.
but trust me.
I also plan to like figure out a like redstone system that can add like a little area for people to gamble or like do like an
Mhm.
archery thing. We've also seen and gotten inspired by a bunch of like parkour mini game areas that
Mhm.
could be done.
Yeah, but gambling is a very big love on this server. We need gambling machines. What about data packs? Have you guys thought about any of those?
I mean, just like the normal stuff right now, we could get into, more stuff later, but
Mm-hmm.
just the basic stuff like probably not no phantoms because that like limits people to
Mm-hmm.
being able to get phantom and brain stuff. We would just lower the sleep percentage to. We'll leave that at a vote,
Mm-hmm.
but we would lower that so the phantom still could spawn.
Mm-hmm.
We would have player heads and really anything that the people would want. Leave it up to a vote of what they want.
Yeah, so very
Yeah,
open to suggestion.
yeah, things like being able to sit in, stairs,
I'm a
slabs,
big
stuff like
fan of
that.
those. Big fan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be standing. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
All I gotta say personally, he can go after me.
Mhm.
All I gotta say is, yeah, just if you want to vote for us, go for it because we'll be there for you whenever you need it.
Mhm.
Just be sure to let us know because we're very friendly.
Is there?
I think I need something. I think I need one more thing. So I'd like to have like certain events on the server,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be like a well thought out treasure hunt with like a good
Ooh.
reward at the end, or just stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
maybe a tag game or
Mhm.
things like that. Not necessarily mini games, but like something that would go on for like a week, with a winner being like after a really long, event. It would have a huge prize.
So, if you are elected, would you be hosting an Easter event? Because that would be up to you if you become mayor.
Honestly, yeah,
Because we're a big
I'd
fan
try to
of
get one.
those types of holiday events.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, we're a big fan of those events, and even including the ones that you've mentioned, the little treasure hunts. I know people will enjoy those so much. So clearly,
Yeah.
you guys are bringing the fun to
Yes.
the campaign.
Which I think is the most important thing. But
Mhm.
that's just me. In the end, it's a Minecraft server. We're supposed to be having fun here.
Mhm.
I'd like to make it as fun as possible,
Mhm. So if people want
and I
fun,
think
they
being
should
mayor
vote
would
for
help with that.
Jort Gang.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Vote for Jort Gang if you want the fun. All right. Thank you too for letting me interview you guys and have a bit of your time to explain what's going on.
No problem. It was
course.
fun.
Well, you heard them. the visions, the promises, the plans. So, who will you vote for? The future of Hexacomb is in your hands. Remember, this is Hexacomb. We play the hard way. Thanks for watching.